You're listening to Sparks Creative Stories, our audio podcast. This story is called Walter Barks at Buses, written by Sheila Cowley and performed by David Warner and Kate Young.
Walter barks at buses anytime and any day.
Walter barks in the dark when the 412 trundles by, steaming with the coffee trapped in travel mugs.
Walter barks in broad daylight when the 919 bus passes, stuffed with stragglers late to work and sleepy college students.
Walter barks at rush hour, and Walter barks at noon.
It's the noise that drives him crazy. Vroom, vroom, vroom.
And vroom, vroom, vroom.
The whee-shook of the air brakes.
And the cree-chuck as the bus door opens 4 floors down from Wendy's window.
It makes Walter feel so small.
Wendy works from home. She tries not to schedule phone calls when the 208 bus goes by, or the 316.
Wendy takes her coffee breaks when Walter barks at buses at 10:27 and 2:42.
But sometimes it is difficult.
All the bus drivers know Walter, and they go honk, honk, ooga.
That makes Walter bark much harder, so that Wendy's window rattles and her coffee cup goes rackle splush, and Wendy goes, "Oh, darn it, Walter."
One day Walter barked so hard as the 114 got closer.
Honk, honk, oh, Walter barked so hard that Wendy's laptop shorted out in the middle of a totally important online meeting that she didn't want to go to anyway. So Wendy shoved her chair back, grabbed Walter round the middle, plucked his leash up, and pounded down the stairs to the bus stop as the bus pulled up.
The bus door opened.
Cree-chuck! The bus driver waved at Walter.
Walter had a mouthful of big barks just bursting to come out, but Walter swallowed them.
Walter's ears went up as Wendy waved her bus pass at the driver.
And the driver waved her on with Walter.
The bus smelled like rubber, gas, and air conditioning.
Like the lady with her coffee, and the man with a ham sandwich in his lunchbox.
And the baby with a bottle, and right now, like Wendy.
Walter sat in Wendy's lap, and the bus drove off with Walter.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
Walter watched as they drove by the water where it smelled like seagulls, diesel, shrimp, and mud.
He saw the horizon, so much farther than the corner he and Wendy turned around at when they went out walking.
Walter watched the people outside, walking, jogging, switching by on bikes.
Shoo, tinkle, ding, ding, ding. Walter saw a lot of buses.
Vrooing and vrooing.
But he didn't want to bark because being on this bus made Walter feel much bigger.
Walter watched as people on the bus got off at a hospital. Woo.
At a university that smelled like books and socks.
And at a grocery store that smelled like everything. Walter's tummy rumbled.
Wendy sneaked Walter a treat.
Chomp, chomp.
Walter watched as the bus passed musicians. Ooba-dooba-dooba-oo.
He saw mimes and jugglers. Whoop, whoop.
Walter was especially interested in the jugglers.
Wendy gave Walter his ball to hold.
The bus driver put the brakes on
Whee-shook.
pulled the bus up under a big tree. Wendy thanked the bus driver as they got off.
"You bark at me every day," the bus driver told Walter. "But it's different when you're on the bus, yeah?"
Walter smelled the bus driver. She smelled like peanut butter sandwiches. Walter let the driver scratch behind his ears.
"Nice to meet you, Walter." Walter's wet nose gave her hand a gentle nudge.
Wendy and Walter got out of the bus. The driver waved and creaked the door closed. Cree-chunk.
The bus honked, honk, honk, auga.
Walter didn't bark.
Wendy put Walter down on the grass. It smelled like 1,000 sneakers and a peanut butter picnic.
Walter quickly flipped over and had a great big wiggle.
Bath day, Wendy sighed.
Walter watched as people in the park did Tai Chi, as third graders danced, and a Weimaraner strutted by.
Walter smelled an empanada and falafel and a bean and cheese burrito that was almost 3 days old.
Walter smelled a big dog and a small dog and that Weimaraner.
And pulled Wendy through the park. She enjoyed the trees and flowers.
Walter liked the smell of picnics, past and present.
And now Walter barks hello, bark, at buses.
And the drivers all honk,
honk,
honk, auga.
And on weekends, Walter enjoys riding on a bus with Wendy to see where the 816 goes and where the 212 takes him.
Smelling parks that smell like picnics.
Walter, wait! Don't chase that skateboard! Whoa!
Thank you for listening to our Sparks Creative Stories podcast. We hope you'll subscribe and share it with your friends. Walter Barks at Buses is written by Sheila Cowley, performed by David Warner and Kate Young, and directed by Jim Rayfield. You can find an illustrated version of this story on our Sparks Creative Stories YouTube channel. Our theme song is performed by David Waterman at David Waterman Music, produced and arranged by Jim Beckwith. We made this Sparks Creative Story because our friend David told us their dog Walter barks at buses. You can find us at sparkscreativestories.com and use the contact page to let us know what kind of story you'd like.